and our topic occurred at the life of the prophet, and it is one of the most greatest miracles of the prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So it happened after the death of Khadija and the death of Abu Talib, the uncle of the prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We all know that Khadija was the beloved wife of the prophet, the first wife of the prophet, and the prophet didn't marry any woman when she was alive. So when she died, life becomes so much hard for the prophet. No one was supporting him. The tribe of the prophet, the Quraysh, they rejected him because of the message he gave them. He preached to them about Islam, about the oneness of Allah, the worship of Allah alone. So they rejected him. They were used to worshiping idols, many gods, so they did not believe in one God. So they were making life so difficult for the prophet. And Khadija, that was supporting him, died. His uncle also died. Then the prophet also thought of a solution. He went to Ta'if, a nearby community, to seek for their help, to seek for their protection. At least if he should tell them about Islam and they accepted him, at least they will be there for him, they will support him against his tribe. Unfortunately, when the prophet went to Ta'if, they also humiliated him. They caused hardship for him. They rejected his message. They stoned him out of their city. They told their children to stone him out of their city. So imagine such situation. Everyone is against you. So Allah has promised us in the Quran. He said, Inna Allaha ma'as-sabirin. Allah is always with those who are truly patient. So Allah rewarded the prophet for his patience and for his endurance. The prophet endured the death of his wife, he endured the death of his uncle, he endured the beating of Ta'if. Allah said, Inna Allaha ma'as-sabirin. So if you are patient, no matter any situation you meet yourself, know that indeed, inna ma'al usri yusra. After every calamity comes ease. So this journey was a way Allah was compensating the prophet. Allah compensated him. Allah honored him with this miraculous journey. Said in the Quran, he said, Subhanalladhi asra bi abdihi laylan min al-masjid al-harami ila al-masjid al-aqsa. So Allah told us that he honored his slave. And imagine if Allah is using the word slave for you, it is a way of honoring you. Ya Allah, make me your slave. Because Allah asks us to come to this world. The purpose of human, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ, right? So Allah said we were not created, the mankind were not created, the jinn were not created, except that they should worship him. So Allah said the purpose of our creation is to worship him. And now Allah is calling you his worshipper, his slave. If you worship someone, definitely you are the person's slave. But Allah wasn't a person anyway. So anyone you worship, you are the person's slave. So Allah called the prophet a slave. Subhanalladhi asra bi abdihi laylan min al-masjid al-harami ila al-masjid al-aqsa. So Allah told us that he took his slave from Masjid al-Haram to Masjid al-Aqsa in one night. And in another narration, in another verse of the Quran, in Surah An-Najm, Allah said, لَقَدْ رَأَى مِنْ آيَاتِ رَبِّهِ الْكُبْرَى. So the Prophet was able to see from the greatest sign of his Lord. Imagine, he was taken to heaven when he was in this world. So that was a way of honoring the Prophet after facing all the calamities in his community in Mecca, and Allah compensated him with this journey. The Israh is the journey from Mecca to Jerusalem, and Miraj is the journey from Jerusalem to heaven. I also remember in my country, that is why you need to study. You need to learn Islam. Don't let people confuse you. In my country, they put this mindset on me that no one has ever gone to heaven and returned. They said no one has gone to heaven and returned. But me studying now, I'm able to detect. I'm able to know that our prophet, when he was living, he went to heaven and returned. He told us about his experience. This was a physical experience for him. It wasn't a dreaming vision. The prophet wasn't dreaming. Indeed, he was taken with his body and soul on this journey from Mecca to Jerusalem, and from Jerusalem he was ascended to heaven, and he returned back that same night. These two journeys happened in same night. He went in the night and returned back in the night. So the people disbelieved. They said, how can you go to Jerusalem, from Mecca to Jerusalem, just in one night? How possible is that? Like, normally if they want to travel to Jerusalem, it takes 1 month for going and 1 month for returning, and then there was no plane and all that. So it took a while before they could return, and the prophet told them that he went there just in a night and returned. Not even just Jerusalem, he was ascended to heaven and he returned that same night. So come with me, stay tuned. Let me tell you about this journey, the narrations of the prophet, authentic hadiths about Israh wal Miraj. Keep watching and stay tuned. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So now I'm going to be telling you and giving you the details of this journey. The prophet actually narrated it. He told us about how everything happened. The Quran summed it up, right? Allah told us in Surah Al-Israء that this incident happened. Also in Surah An-Najm, لَقَدْ رَأَى مِنْ آيَاتِ رَبِّهِ الْكُبْرَى. But the Sunnah, the Hadith, this is the importance of the Hadith. Anything the Quran summed up, the Hadith will give you details. It will tell you how everything happened. So the prophet is telling us now that the beginning of the journey, when he was in his house at night, the roof of his house opened and Jibril descended. So in another narration, he said he was in the house of Hani. In another narration, he said he was in the Hatim. In another narration, he was in the Hijr. So the scholars, they reconcile between these narrations because all the narrations were narrated by the trustworthy companions, you understand? So they are all authentic. So the scholars, they reconcile that the prophet was in his house, and Bayt Hani, the house of Hani, can also be referred to his house because Hani was the daughter of his uncle Abu Talib. So it was still possible that the prophet was in his house, his roof opened, and Jibril descended and took him to Hijr, which is the wall beside the Kaaba. The prophet said at the Hijr, Jibril opened his chest and washed his heart with Zamzam water. This is the second time the heart of the prophet will be opened. When he was little, Jibril did the same thing to his heart, Shaqqa Sadr. He opened his heart and washed his heart from everything like evil, hatred. So from his when he was little, Allah has purified his heart from anything of evil you can imagine. So the prophet does not think of evil from people. He does not dislike people. You understand? So this is the second time his heart will be opened. He said Jibril opened his heart, like his chest, and washed his heart with Zamzam water. So the heart of the prophet was washed. The prophet also told us that there was a golden tray. On that tray, it has contents of hikmah wal iman. Inside that tray, the tray was full of hikmah wal iman. It takes a Muslim to believe this because our brain is really limited, right? You just have to be a Muslim to know that the prophet does not talk from his desires. It indeed happened. So he said there was a golden tray full of wisdom and iman. And that wisdom and iman was poured on his heart. Jibril poured his on his heart. He occupied his heart with wisdom and iman. We don't know how it is, but we believe. So after that, he closed his chest. Do you know why this is happening? Why the angel is filling his heart with hikmah and iman? Because the prophet is about to go to another world, something different from this world. So he had to prepare the prophet for what he will be saying. He had to strengthen the heart of the prophet for what he is about to see. So the prophet said, after doing that, pouring the wisdom and iman on his chest, Jibril closed his chest and then brought a white beast. The name of the beast is called Buraq. So it brought the beast, and the beast is very white in color, and then they headed to Jerusalem. The prophet told us about this beast that it was very white in color and very speedy. Like the beast is very speedy. One step of the beast is as far as your eyes can see. So as far as you can see, like me looking there now, where my sight ends is the first step of that beast. So imagine how fast it is. So the prophet said, Buraq is very white in color and very fast. The speed was very fast, you understand? So they were able to get to Jerusalem quickly. So the first step of the beast is as far as your eyes can see. Maybe the beast will only take 10 steps to get to Jerusalem. Maybe from Mecca, anyway. So the prophet told us that when they got to Jerusalem, Jibril tied the beast at where they used to tie the animal, something like that. So the beast is not just for the prophet, it has been riding some other prophets even before the prophet. So where Jibril used to tie it, he tied it and the prophet entered the masjid. So the prophet said when he got to the masjid, inside the Masjid al-Aqsa, he said, قَدْ رَأَيْتُنِي فِي جَمَاعَةٍ مِنَ الْأَنْبِيَاءِ فإذا موسى قائم يصلي فجاءت الصلاة فأممته. Imagine, like the prophet said, when he got to Jerusalem, he saw himself among the group of other prophets, like every prophet Allah had sent. He said he saw himself among them. The prophet that had died, the prophet said he saw them, every one of them. فَإِذَا مُوسَى قَائِمٌ يُصَلِّي. He also saw Musa standing and praying. He mentioned Prophet Ibrahim that he saw him also standing and praying. He saw Isa standing and praying. Then he said, فَجَاءَتِ الصَّلَاةِ. Then time for Salat came, and Jibril forwarded him. فَأَمَمْتُهُمْ. Then he led other prophets in prayer. So we really don't know, because our brain is limited. We don't know how possible the prophet saw other prophets. Is it that he saw their spirit, or it is unimaginable? So the prophet is in another world. All we just have to do as a Muslim is to believe. So he said he saw himself among the group of other prophets. Ja'at as-salat fa'amamtuhum. Then the time for salat came, and he led them in prayer. So I want to derive some few lessons from this incident now. First of all, the number one lesson about the prophet leading other prophets in Salat is that every prophet of Allah, from Prophet Adam to our last prophet, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, all of them worship one God. And their religion is Islam. They have just one religion. فَأَمَمْتُهُمْ, and I led them in Salat. So their religion is one. That is another lesson. None of the prophets was a Christian. None of them was a Jew. All of them come with one religion. That is the number two lesson. And the third lesson I learned is that this narration that the prophet led other prophets shows the rank of the prophet. Like, it clearly manifested the rank of the prophet, our beloved prophet, among other prophets. You understand? So there is another hadith where the prophet said, Ana sayyidu walad Adam yawm al-qiyamah wala fakhr, that he is the leader of every son of Adam in the hereafter. And he's not saying this to be proud, no, but that is the fact. So from this narration now, the prophet said he led every other prophet in Salat, which means that Allah is manifesting the rank of our prophet, that he led every other prophet. So that is the third lesson we are learning from this narration. Another lesson is that all the prophets of Allah, they were all men. They were all men, and our prophet is the last prophet sent by Allah. Allah said, "Ma kana Muhammadun aba'a ahadin min rijalikum, walakin Rasulullah wa khataman nabiyyin." So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was the last prophet of every other prophet. No prophet comes after Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was the last prophet and led every other prophet in prayer. So any prophet that is claiming, anybody claiming prophecy in this our time, we should not believe them. It is a lie. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was the last prophet Allah has chosen. So this is also a lesson that Prophet Muhammad was the last prophet, and all the prophets sent by Allah, they were all men. In my country today, we see some women claiming prophecy. They say, "Oh, I'm prophet something, I'm prophet something." I'll be like, really? In the history of Islam, nowhere in the Quran that we heard Allah sent women to be prophets. You can see the job of the prophet is very difficult. They stoned our prophet. Women can't do that job. You understand? So it is just for men. So all the religion of every other prophet is Islam. All of them, they were men, and women were not sent. So the prophet continued. He said, after he prayed, he led the other prophets in prayer. Then Jibril took him to heaven, like he was taken to heaven. Subhanallah. So inshallah, watch out for my next video, where I'll be telling you about what happened, what he saw in heaven. So keep watching. Don't forget to subscribe to Host TV. Watch out for my next video. Jazakumullahu khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.